Tom Parsons' life has been built on challenges, injuries, bad luck, and moments where everything seemed to go wrong. But through it all, one thing never left him: his passion for riding and the courage to follow his heart in the face of adversity. What started as the dream of becoming a professional racer evolved into something more aligned with his true self, carving his own path as a creative, a traveler, and one of the most respected freeriders in the sport. This conversation is about what it really takes to keep going and finding out what you're made of when nothing comes easy. This is Tom Parsons. Now let's dive in. Welcome to Ride Beyond, where we go beyond the ride and into what matters. In this podcast, you'll find meaningful conversations with people who live with passion, chase freedom, and remind us what it means to live fully. The motorcycle is our connection, but the stories are what take us beyond.
Just living out by the, near the beach.
Yeah. Dude,
That's
beach
sweet.
life. It's actually sick.
Yeah.
It's a lot different than it is out here.
Yeah.
But I actually I don't know what it's probably gnarly here in the summer. But
Yeah.
driving out here in these country roads and all these
It's
willow trees, and it's just
it's
so pretty.
less traffic and
So
just
peaceful.
It's a little bit nicer.
It's nice, dude.
Probably a bit
it.
cheaper to live, probably.
You're not here much, are you? Because like I said,
I haven't been. I go back and forth. It's back and it's. My girlfriend lives in Bend, Oregon, so I'm up there quite a bit. But then I always have my trailer at Jared's. Well, actually, I was at the Grindstone originally. Then the last 3 years at Jared's in Temecula, and so I kind of just been I kind of hop around, but now I've been in Oregon a lot, and it's sweet up there in Bend. So it's the mountain biking and the snowboarding and all the stuff is pretty badass.
yeah. I mean, that's kind of the nice thing about living that van life a little bit is you can just, travel where you want to go. If you want some winter, you can travel there. If you want,
Yeah.
you come back home when you,
Yeah.
This time of year is nice in Florida.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's why I came home in December for 2 weeks. And then this time I've been home I leave tomorrow, but I've been here for 2 weeks now, 3 weeks. This time I just had I had so much to do. I was I wanted to go up to CJI and ride, but it was just as soon as I got here, it was
Swamp Fest.
Yeah, Swamp Fest this weekend.
Dude, Swamp Fest looks crazy.
And then that took a minute because when I had people here, so we were riding, and then I planted a bunch of pine trees, or I had a guy plant pine trees, and then me and Jay and my buddy Jason, we planted 120 trees. I've been putting it around the fence line and stuff instead of
Just
putting
for
up the fence.
privacy.
Yeah, to try to kind of block off everything from the neighbors. So between that and then riding, and then I've just had a bunch of just random life things. My house insurance was up because of the roof age, even though the roof is in perfect condition, but they won't come out and look at it. So just the boring life stuff that you're
Sometimes you have to come home and catch up on all that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's home insurance. You barely think about it. And then you're when you don't have it, you need to get a new policy. It's a huge pain.
Just in case.
So
Do hurricanes come through here at all? They probably chill out a lot by the time they get this far inland, right?
Knock on wood, it's this is one of the safest zones in Florida. For whatever reason, it's rare for them to cross this part of the state. And when they have, by the time they get this far inland, they're pretty dead. So
Dude, I live on the on the beach.
Yeah, you're in the real
danger
deal.
zone. But it's pretty rare. It's pretty rare that they hit where I'm at, but still, it's something to think about.
Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, most likely, if you're there for 10 years, you're going to get hit by a hurricane.
Right. I just feel comfort knowing my house is 40 years old.
Yeah.
And it's still standing. So hopefully.
I mean, the thing about it, believe it or not, there's two things. One, at least a hurricane, it's coming. Unlike an earthquake or something. I'd way rather have a hurricane because 5 days before, oh, you're probably going to get hit. And you can board up your windows, you can prep your house, and then you can leave and and then come back. it's not like an instantaneous thing where there's nothing you can do.
So true.
And then 2, Florida has like pretty hard building codes for houses because it has to withstand, I think, like 150-mile-per-hour minimum or something like that. So like you'll see a lot of the stuff the way it's made. It's like it has to, especially the roof. Like
all the houses where I live are all concrete block.
Yeah,
like,
and
really,
a lot of concrete block, and even the roofs. Like you'll see on some houses, they'll have like double shackled roof things. So it's like where the roof comes down, instead of it just being like nailed in, they'll have like shackles over and under and like bolt it. And so it's like, it's on there.
Yeah. I mean, that's good.
But
so did you grow up here on this property? Like, was this your family's place? Because when I drove in, I saw a no trespassing. I think it had like your dad's name on the sign.
Yeah. No, actually this was actually a newer property. We basically around 2019, the property I grew up at was southeast from here between Gainesville and Ocala, in a place called Citra. And so we had 20 acres there. And that's when I like lived with my parents, and I had a motocross track and a supercross track there. And so it was like that property was like aimed at racing, and I built some ramps. Like, so I had a couple landings and big dirt jumps and like two ramps, I think. But around 2019, I've been doing X Games for like a few years, 5 years at that point. And so we started looking, because I was like, I want like a real course. Like, I'm not racing anymore. It was still fun to ride, especially the moto track, but I wanted a quarter pipe, and I wanted like some better dirt jumps and like better ramp setup. But the dirt there, it's more like sandy loam, and then I'd bring some clay in, but it wasn't like what you would really need to build like a legit course. So I lived in Gainesville. My house is in Gainesville near the college, kind of. So I was driving like 50 minutes or so to go down there to ride. And then, yeah, at that point, around 2018-ish, 2019, my dad was like, I kind of want to move to like a nicer area, because we were kind of in a lower, swampier area, which was great for the moto track because it would stay moist and stuff. But we were like, okay, sweet. We'll get you closer to me. So it's only like 20 minutes. And then we'll try to find a place that has like really good dirt. And this property had like clay all underneath it. So we were like, that would be sweet. And then I'll build that dream course basically.
Dude, and then you had to rip it down.
Yeah.
That sucks.
So
like when we were going to do this interview probably 8 months ago, and we were going to meet up in Utah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got delayed because like you were dealing with the city and like or the county.
Yeah.
And you had to rip down your whole compound that you built here.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was like the finale of it, basically. It's been in court. It was like the whole situation was wild. It was like, it went from, basically what it came down to is they passed this permit, and they have a permit in Alachua County for a private off-road facility. And basically, like, as long as you meet the rules, it's really simple. You can't ride Sundays. You got to be 50 feet from the property line. It's pretty like simple. And that allows you to move all the dirt and maintain it as much as you want, instead of having excavation permits and stuff. And it's pretty reasonable. And like, we had already built the course, and so we don't know exactly when it went into effect, but there was no grandfathering or anything for it. So no matter what, we had to get it. And we we built this legit course. Like, we wanted to be permitted and up to code and like everything be sweet. And so we were the first person to apply for it. And immediately when we applied for it, we had one neighbor next to us with this tree nursery that their kids the kids over there used to come watch us. They were totally cool. We told them before we were going to build it that we were building it, and they were totally cool with it, and along with all the other neighbors. And all of a sudden, they didn't like it.
Did they just think when you pulled that permit that you were going to build more, and it was going to be just like too much?
Yeah, I don't know. It was a weird deal because the one guy over there, he was like, oh, this was more than I thought. But like when we moved here, or before we moved here, and my dad met everybody and told them like what I did. Gatorback's 2 miles down the road. So it's like, what
You're going to hear dirt bikes.
yeah. And what a professional, we told him that like, hey, I ride X Games. We're going to build like a professional freestyle course. Like it's going to take up less space. It's going to be bigger mounds and stuff, but it's like way more chill than the motocross track. And,
way more chill.
They were like, okay. And then obviously they've been to Gatorback. They live down this, it's right down the street. So they know what like a national size. I mean, Gatorback's massive, right? 2 tracks, supercross, trails, everything. So like, it's hard to say like, oh, I didn't know it was going to be so big when mine's actually tiny compared to.
And you guys are just like hitting ramps. And like some jumps. It's way less than going pinned around a track.
Yeah, way more mellow, right? So
it's crazy.
It's and that it just led to one thing, and then it got this other lady involved who lived next to them. She had 8 acres of woods. She'd never been out to her property, so she didn't even know the course. We had been using it for like a year and a half, and all through COVID and stuff. And she didn't know it existed.
She had a problem with it all of a sudden?
We had to, when you get the permit, it tells everyone within a quarter mile that you're applying for this permit. So immediately she gets it, doesn't even come check out the property. She thinks we're building a motocross track. So she makes this petition and goes around to everyone within like 2 miles of here with this petition that says we're opening a public motocross track that's going to be open 6 days a week between
she just
like
made that up.
9 a.m. So she read the rules of the permit, the private permit, the times where you're allowed to ride like 9 a.m. to dark 6 days a week. So she just thought that was, that's going to be public and that's when everybody's going to be there. And so she just went around and got all these, like literally all these petitions, which makes sense. Like if I wouldn't want somebody to build like a public motocross track back here where we are, like that's totally reasonable, but to like lie about it and then take that to the county and then the county not even question it or,
Dude, what sucks is if you didn't like try to go by the book and like get this permit, they probably wouldn't have even said anything about your course.
Yeah, so that's the thing. If it hadn't have been for them, so basically when we added some stuff to the course, that's when they started doing anonymous complaints to the county. So first they said that we were like harming turtles because we have tortoises like on the property.
Oh, really? I have them at my house too. It's
yeah.
cool.
So, the tortoise, they're in danger and like you can't mess with them and stuff, but they're on like the other side of our property. We specifically like built stuff on that side because of the like no trees and things. Didn't have to clear. That was the first thing. And then they said in one of our retention ponds that we had hit the spring and it was like bubbling up or something. I don't even know. So they got the environmental people out and they were like, there's nothing wrong here. But then that brought out a county guy who informed us about the permit. He was like, yeah, you should check into this. And so when we did, that started the whole thing. We were like, oh, okay, well, we want to make sure we have the permit. And because we met everything and the county guy was like, yeah, it looks like everything's legit. And we were like, yeah, this is like, Jason Baker, Dream Tracks, like helped, basically they built this, like he knows what he's doing. And, yeah, it was it's a long story. It was crazy that like we couldn't work anything out with them. We even tried to do
what about like electric bikes.
Yeah, so it didn't really matter because it was about the dirt being moved, not the sound or anything. So there was never any sound complaints or anything about the course. It was solely the permit gets triggered when you move 200 cubic yards of dirt. So you have to have it at that point. And it was just one of those things like the county could have worked with us. Like in the end, we tried to just we asked for 3 days a week, max, 2 hours a day. And that was like our final like proposals for like letting us keep it. Was like, hey, what if we only ride 3 days a week during work hours, 9 to 5 and 2 hours max a day, no more than 5 people a day. And like it's the course, you can't really, once you have like 2 people on there, you kind of have to like be careful because stuff crosses and everything. But yeah, it was just one of those things. We did it and then they kind of wanted to make an example out of us. And yeah, it's funny thing is there's been a track or two built since we had that issue. And
Dude,
so
that sucks.
I've seen a couple on Instagram. One of the track builders actually like tagged Gainesville. And I went in and was like messaging him like, hey,
Don't do that.
don't tag Gainesville or Alachua County. Do not let them know you have that track built here because, yeah, it's kind of a deal. It in their mind, they basically, to meet the rules that they want and stuff, you have to own like 500 acres, 1,000 acres, and who has the money to do that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's insane.
So they basically are taking it away from like any normal person from being able to have any sort of legitimate track. But I mean, this thing just gets crazier because then we took it to court and stuff and tried to fight it. Didn't work. But so if I don't move the dirt, I don't need a permit. So like I can build a flat track out here and have Harleys. I can have plated Harleys with no mufflers on them. Have 15 guys out here on a Sunday just ripping circles. And it's okay. There's nothing against that.
So the neighbors weren't like mad about the noise.
Yeah, they
It's
never complained about the noise or anything once. It's super. But in the end, I mean, yeah, this has been like it. I mean, this was like a 5-year saga, this whole thing, like before it got resolved. And then finally in the end, when the court didn't side with us, they basically said like, oh, the county can do whatever they want. They don't have to give you the permit. It just happened to work out. I knew I was going to have to take it down and I had to do it. And it sucked because X Games was coming up. And I was like, crap, I got to get ready for that and try to do this. And so I got Jared McNeil to come out. I was like, hey, I need you to come out and help me take this thing down. And he had a connection with this Newman tractor company that he had met through his machine stuff and expos. He's like, yeah, I think they're in Florida. Like, let me hit them up. And just the most random thing, they're in like Orlando down that way. And they're like, oh, sweet. And he told him kind of the story of everything. And then one of the guys there, I don't know if he's the son, but Justin, he was an FMX rider back in the day. And he lived with Kyle Loza in SoCal for a period of time. And he was like, oh, this is sick. I would love to have Newman Tractor like be a part of it. So I did a deal, like a sponsorship deal.
Yeah, I saw him on your bike at X Games.
So I did a deal with them and Jared did a deal with them. And, they came in huge with like, we had a massive excavator, the dozer, the dump truck, everything. They came in with all that for free. And it was like it saved me so much money, which I've already spent from between the lawyers and like building it and everything. So it was like just another thing. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm going to spend 20 grand to take this down now. Like
it's a super unfortunate event, but at least there's like a silver lining there. You know, you met some new friends and like some new supporters and, yeah, man, I feel like, this area, I'm not super familiar with Central Florida since I just moved here.
Yeah.
But it seems like there's like so much motocross here, like so many riders and athletes and tracks and compounds. And like, it's kind of insane to just see how much is going down here. What was your life like growing up here as a kid? Like, were you into dirt bikes early on? Like, how did you get into it at first?
Yeah. So I've been here a long time. So I've seen it change from like having a few guys like James and Ricky and them be in Florida and
the whole industry now. It's
and
crazy.
now it's like, yeah, every training facility's here basically. It was so I wasn't super young. I was kind of late. I am a late bloomer, I guess, considering, kids are racing at 5, 4 now. But I actually didn't even really start riding dirt bikes till I was like about 10, probably.
Yeah, same.
And I was born in Mission Viejo, California. And so my dad was in the military and stationed out there. And then when he retired, when I was about 11, 12, right around then, he wanted to move back to Florida because he was stationed here when he was younger. And so I actually started to ride dirt bikes, and I would go to De Anza and a couple of these places in SoCal that used to exist and just ride four-wheelers and dirt bikes at just, no real thought of anything. And then right before we moved here, I raced a couple times, like at Verona Oaks and Star West. And that kind of just got my feet wet a little bit. Then we moved here and I was still kind of riding, but at that point I still didn't, like, I did a couple races, but out in California, but I didn't know if like I wanted to keep doing that or not. And so we just we moved here in the first 6 months. We went and watched a couple races, like Hard Rock and Gatorback and stuff like that. And then after, a little bit of time, I was like, well, maybe that looks fun. Like, I'll just try and race too.
Then you just got more and more into it.
Yeah. And then so pretty much from, when I was 12, I basically started racing full time. And then, from 12 on, that was it, just full on.
Just working did you start like on 80s or what?
Yeah, I started right on 80s.
Were you kind of small when you first started? Because I got my first bike when I was 10 on my 10th birthday. It was a YZ85. Yeah. And I could not touch the ground on that thing.
Yeah, when the first few, I was small. I was definitely small. But I had already kind of missed the 65 age group, so I kind of had no choice. So, but then I grew decent fast. So by the time I was 14, I was like pretty good size for it. But I still rode super minis and 85s till I was 15. So like I wasn't abnormally big or anything.
Yeah. And then you just kind of like got more and more into racing, worked your way up through the different classes. And did you ever do like amateur nationals or anything like that?
Oh yeah. 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 I pretty much, did the whole thing growing up. I did obviously Loretta's a lot. I did a bunch of things. I had I actually won Minios one year.
No way,
I have an
dude.
Olympiad Minios title.
Oh, so you were fast.
So it's like,
that's sick.
I did all right. Like I was, coming up, like it took me a while, but it was like, I kind of hit a point after a few years where I feel like I accelerated pretty quickly. And that might've been too, like I worked with Gary Bailey a lot. So I was like a Gary Bailey rider back then. So he would do camps like a couple times a year. So I was always doing stuff with him, which probably is like what helped a lot. And so I was always riding too at his camps, like in Virginia and stuff, like Pastrana and Millsaps and Evanu and all those guys were all Bailey riders. So riding with guys like that,
they would be at the camps with you.
Yeah. So
that's insane.
You'd be like, okay, especially Travis, obviously, you're like, at that point he was winning at like most amateur stuff. And
that was before like the days of all these training compounds. Like that was more of a unique concept.
Yeah. That, back then it was crazy, right? Cause you did everything on your own. So it's like you had like Gary Bailey and stuff. You had guys for technique and trying to like just help you be a better rider, which is kind of funny because it's almost opposite now. You see less of that, like that type of training. You see it here and there, but with certain guys, but it's almost more like just the physical training aspect is obviously like bigger now. So, depending where you go or where you train, it's either some teach you technique and things that you need to know. It's not crash your brains out probably, but then others don't. There's other places, probably won't name names, but there's like others that it's just like twist the throttle. That's it. What's your technique? We don't care.
Yeah.
Go in the whoops wide open. And you could tell a difference like between the riders that come from those different types of training.
Man, I had some idea that you came from like a background of racing, but I didn't know that you were so fast. That's cool. Sounds like you did pretty good at some amateur nationals. Like even just qualifying for Loretta's is respectable, like Loretta's is legit. It's like, I remember like the C class at Loretta's is like faster than like the local A riders.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I went to Loretta's. I did C one year when I was 15. And so I would go, I'm trying to think like Mosier Valley and Lake Whitney and those amateur nationals. I was riding 125C and 125 youth at the time. And so a couple guys in the C were like young like me that moved up off of 80s quicker, but hadn't been to Loretta's as an 80 rider. And like we would be top 3 in C at those nationals, and then I'd be top 5 in the youth. So I'd get like first, second, third in the C classes, and still get like 4th, 5th in the youth class against like really good guys. So, and then the C group that I was with when we moved up the next year into B, like we were already winning some motos here and there, like Gold Cup, Winter Ams, stuff like that. We were already like in the top 5 for the B, but kind of the same. You see it now though. They're like the C riders are really, really fast now. And then you see the B riders, right? The top B guys go into A and they're automatically like top 3 or winning.
Right there.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, when I was at Lake Whitney for the first time, I think Ryan Villapoto had the fastest lap time of the week on a super mini.
Yes.
It's insane, dude.
That is pretty nuts, actually.
But and that track's gnarly.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. So you worked your way through amateurs, and did you eventually like race pro?
Yeah. So I did. I had quite a few injuries that slowed me a bit, and then early on, like when it was my last year when I was in B class, before moving up to A, I got Epstein-Barr, and that's kind of part of the training thing, right? Like I was doing it on my own, so I know nothing about recovery or anything. I'm just at that point I was probably 17 or something, I got to train for Loretta's. So I'm just out there in the summer, running like 30-minute motos. And then
what's Epstein-Barr feel like? Just, a lot of people probably don't know what that is.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's overtraining. It's like massive fatigue. But what was it like?
It was weird because at the time, I actually had Epstein-Barr was really new. So originally the doctors said I had fibromyalgia. So I don't really know if I also had that or not. But fibromyalgia is kind of like another sort of a thing that's like that, but then you have like a lot of pain in your joints and different things like that. So I wasn't really sure if was what it was. And then the Epstein-Barr thing started to become more popular. Like I think Stefan Roncada got it and like a couple guys early on. And I didn't know. So I just, I have the doctor saying like, oh, you might have fibromyalgia. But other than that, whatever. So I just keep training, and I have Loretta's, and I just train myself into the ground. And when I got to Loretta's, I almost passed out one moto. There was another moto that I had to pull off because I was blacking out like on the track. So I had to pull off, and then I literally laid in bed for like 2 days. I missed my next like 1 or 2 motos, and then I tried to race at the end of the week, and there was just no way. And and so it was just, it was a weird thing. Like you just go from being in shape, like I was in really good shape, and then you just all of a sudden I'm like, I can't even jump for 5 minutes on the trampoline. Like I would ride the trampoline bike. I used to do it for like an hour, 2 hours, and all of a sudden it's like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then you'd be running motos, and like you wouldn't necessarily feel fatigued, but like you would start just feeling woozy, and then like jumps and stuff, I would start to like black out a little bit and have like weird just vision problems and stuff like that. It was really strange. So eventually I was like, it led to where I actually had to stop. Like I just couldn't race anymore. There was no way. And so I had to quit
and it's like a slow recovery.
Yeah. And I went so far past it. I was already like, I was into the chronic fatigue syndrome, basically, which guys get. Like I think Ricky had it and stuff like that. I was into that territory. So it was literally, and I didn't know what to do. So I was going to acupuncture and like different types of like medicine, like anything
like
I could find.
therapy, and like massage, and like everything you can think of.
And I was, because like the normal doctors weren't really up on it, and they weren't that helpful at the time.
They look at like your basic labs and they're like, oh, you're fine, there's nothing wrong with you. And you're like, trust me, I'm not fine.
I know. So so it was probably like a year and a half I didn't ride. And then as I started to feel better, I came back in the A class and did some races, but I'd already missed so much time all the guys I was with were now doing Supercross. And I was like, crap, well, I'll try to get my license then. I guess I'll just go straight to it. So I didn't really do an A year or anything. I just kind of went straight into Supercross.
You kind of lost your own momentum and almost felt like you had to keep up with your
Yeah.
age group and like you're falling behind.
Yeah, exactly. And two, I was already not behind, but like back then you kind of stayed in the classes. So like at Loretta's, you know, you wouldn't do just 1 year in B. Like if you didn't top 5 B class, you don't move up. Like now they still do it a little bit. Like now kids will ride limited, B limited. And then they'll go to B modified or whatever it is now. And then go to A, depending on like, you know, how you fit. But back then it was like, if you're not there, like you don't move up. Like you go again and try a top 5, and then you get top 5, you move to A. But that was kind of just the nature of it. You didn't really have as much as like teams and things like pointing you in the right direction or what to do and stuff. But yeah, eventually it was like, I started feeling a bit better. It kind of killed, because when I was at Loretta's the year I had it, I also got heat stroke in one of the motos, like
No
a
way.
mild version of heat stroke.
I mean, that probably contributed to that.
Yeah. So that among all of it, it was like, I still, even to this day, when it gets super, super hot, I have a bit of issue with it. It just affects me a lot more. So it kind of killed outdoors. I tried a couple here and there, like my first year, basically, when I turned pro, but there was like no way.
You just focused on Supercross.
Yeah, I
after
just
that?
stayed with the Supercross and was like just trying to build back like any kind of base at where I was and try to get closer back to where a couple of the guys I came through with were, which there were a couple that I was competitive with at the time, like Troy Adams and a couple of them that were doing really, really well in Supercross, like top 10 and stuff like that. So I was just like trying to make my way back
I
there.
can get there, man.
Yeah.
So you were obviously living the privateer life at that point.
Yeah.
What was that like? Because I'm assuming you maybe didn't come from like a ton of money. And that lifestyle's challenging, you know?
Yeah.
What was it like?
And it was just, you know, I mean, my parents supported me 100% for all that. But again, they were like middle class. So, you know, we were still on a budget, especially to try to go to all the races and things that we were going to and stuff. So I always was limited. Probably my biggest limitation was my bikes. So like even my first year, I'm just riding revalve suspension and a pipe.
Were you in the 250 class?
Yeah, my first year, I rode a 125 my first year. It was like when the 250s were coming in. So I chose a 125 the first year.
Dude.
And
And you're like in the I mean, at the time it was like the lights class.
yeah.
Or, you know, the 250 class, 125, whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, I feel like as a privateer, it's probably so much smarter to try 450s because like
Yeah.
you're so underpowered compared to the factory bikes.
Yeah. It's
smaller
tough.
bikes.
It is tough in that one. And the 125, like now I ride a 125 and I don't even know how I rode that on a Supercross track. I'm like, I don't know how this was even possible with this power, but yeah, so I chose that route the first year and just cause that's what I had been riding. And then, or I did try a YZ250F, but I didn't really like it at the time. And it was like the first versions of them and stuff. So I went back to the 125 and then, and then I raced the first year. I raced almost all the East, I think, that year. And was like decent. It was like, but again, like my practice bike was my race bike. So I couldn't have much done. And then my bikes were super simple, like little bit of motor mods, revalve suspension. Like I've never had a kit my entire life. I've never had like super modded motors or anything fancy. And so I've definitely always had probably the slowest bike on the track was probably my biggest thing. But like, so I could do okay, like when it came to the time qualifying and things like that. You know, you can make up for the bike a bit.
Yeah.
if you can go faster.
Just go all out.
And so that year, like I had some decent qualifyings. Like I think I qualified in Dallas. I had a 14th. I qualified in 14th once. And I think
Dude, that's really good.
I had like an 18th and a 19th ish.
On a 125.
And then, yeah, there was still guys, to be fair, there weren't much 250s yet. That was like,
Okay.
the Yamaha was out and the Honda was like just coming out at that point. So it was like it was still pretty mixed, but the guys winning were all on the Yamaha Troy, like 250Fs and stuff at that point. But yeah, so I always felt pretty good, but I couldn't tell you the amount of 10th place heat race finishes and 5th place LCQs, because I just couldn't get a start. So I would always start in like 20th place and I'd get to 10th, or I'd start in 20th and I'd get to 5th in the LCQ. So there was probably like, I probably should have made like at least half the mains that year if I would have had a bike that I probably
Get a better start. Yeah.
But that's just the way it was. That was like, my family, they were shelling out everything they could to like get me to the races and do all that. So we just didn't have the money to have bikes. So it was like, I always had 2 bikes, even when the next year I went to 250s, I switched to the 4-stroke and then was on 250 and 450. And those were my 2 bikes. So I had like moto on the 450 to try to save the 250. And then the 250 had a cam and a pipe and revalve suspension, and that was it. And I would practice 1 day a week on that, then go to the Supercross. And then that was like,
then try to keep up with
and try not to blow it up.
Yeah. Try to keep up with like factory pro circuit bikes.
Yeah. And then just other guys too, like even at the time, like, the guys that I probably was competing with, like in that bubble zone of main events and stuff like that, were on fully mod. They had a race bike. And so just that, at that level, that little bit of difference is like massive.
I've been working with 805 beer for close to a decade now, and to me, it's much more than just a beer. I feel like they represent a way of living. 805 was born on California's Central Coast, where life moves to the rhythm of surf, motorcycles, music, and the outdoors. Whether you're coming off a ride, hanging out with friends, or watching the sunset at the end of an awesome day, 805 is right there with you. What I respect most is their commitment to sustainability. This is their home, and they treat it that way. Conserving water, reducing waste, and constantly thinking about how to do things better for the future. They support the athletes, the events, and the culture that we all care about. But more than anything, they support a lifestyle that's real. That's why 805 has been a staple in my life for so long. Not to mention like you're spread thin financially. You guys are putting everything you have into it. You've dealt with this like Epstein-Barr in the past, so your body's maybe a little more fragile, and like living that lifestyle takes a toll on your body to begin with. Just the travel, and you're doing it all yourself, and like maintaining your own bikes, and talk about the toll that takes on you.
Yeah, it was, like I said, I enjoyed it. It was super fun. I did really like the Supercross, especially. It was a lot of fun. So
it feels cool to be there and be part of it.
Yeah. And to get to line up with some of the people, I did like when those first couple years that I was out there, like, I was lining up against like Hanny and people like that were, badass riders. So it was like cool just to do that and, be in the mix a bit. And it was like, for what it was, like it was getting better. I was like, okay. And then the next year when I switched to the 250, I actually like felt really good. And was like, okay, maybe this is going to be the year, I'll try to make some mains and do everything. And then, except I only made it a few rounds in. And then I broke my arms jumping. I had gotten a ramp at that point. So I'd randomly got a ramp because I just like jumping. I've always been a jumper. Even when I was a C-class rider, like I was throwing whips at the track. And when I was so stupid, but I was on this like crappy YZ250 that I saved from before, like when this all 2 strokes. and then I was using it just for the ramps. And I had this janky ramp set up at my house that I probably shouldn't have been jumping on that bike. And that year, the Yamis had, I think, like an issue with the fork, and something was like breaking in the fork. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I OJ'd the ramp a little bit, which I've done like since then 100 times, no problem. But whatever suspension was in that, it was just terrible. And like the actual impact just bam, smashed both my arms. And I basically
broke your arms with your hands on the handlebars.
Yeah. And
like your upper or lower?
I shattered my radial heads. So like,
like in your elbow, basically.
Yeah. So like what Kenny did to his in that crash on the Honda.
Really?
That messed his elbow up. That I basically did the same thing.
On both arms?
On both. So
just from landing so hard?
Yeah, it landed and then I guess it pushed them up. They hit your humerus. So that shattered them.
Dude.
And then when I landed, I held on, and then it like dislocated them partially at the same time. So I like had some tears in like the tendons on the inside of it, and then it tore like my interosseous membrane, which is like this thing that connects the two bones in the middle. And then, yeah, so the elbows, basically, I had similar surgery. I think Kenny had almost the same exact surgery on both. Except I have metal ones, which they did at the time, where I think he might have a cadaver one. I'm not totally sure, but the trauma of it, that was the hardest part. Like it healed, pretty good, but like the force and the trauma it took to break to do that, it was like I had tons of other issues.
Like the bones healed up, but everything else took a lot longer.
Like all the tissue in between and like some nerve stuff. So I had quite a few things, and I mean it was gnarly so it sucked because I was like making progress, and that was my second season pretty much that I was doing the whole Supercross. And yeah, and that was like almost, I forgot.
Just another major setback.
Yeah. And so that one, when I did that, it was like, originally they were like, oh, you may not ride. And they basically told me I probably would never straighten my arms again, that they were going to be like 30 degrees or something. And yeah, there was like not great news about it. So, but it basically took me out. I mean, I missed almost probably 2 years because even when it was started to get okay, I couldn't take the force of the bike anymore. Like I couldn't, just the handlebars, hitting jumps, bumps, anything. Like I couldn't,
just hurt.
Yeah, I couldn't it was weird. Like my arms just couldn't do it. There would
Could
just
be
be
a little
so
bit
much
to do with like the nerve damage too. You probably didn't have the strength.
Yeah, I don't fully know like what it was exactly, but it took forever for that to like start to like solidify itself where it was reasonable. So I basically didn't do anything besides physical therapy for like a year after that. And then I actually started racing the pit bikes because that was the only thing that my arms could really handle. So that was when they were starting to get really big. And so I started racing pit bikes like almost full time, and there was a lot going on. So I could actually make some money doing that. And while I was trying to get back on the big bike and race again, but it was one of those things where it was like, there was a couple times where it just like, sometimes when the bar would like hit my hand, I'd hit a braking bump and it would release my hand. Like the nerve, it would like send the shock through. So I had a couple where I was like landing into a turn, like with braking bumps, and my hand would just like blow off the bar for no reason. I just go right over the bars.
Yeah, you don't want that on a Supercross track, dude.
And so, yeah, I ended up, taking quite a bit of time off, and then slowly, like I did Daytona 1 year, and that was the only race I did. And my arms were so bad. I qualified for the night show, and then I couldn't even race. My arms were so bad I could barely ride around the track. So I like rolled around in the LCQ to get like finish and get paid and stuff. And that was it. And then it was another year. And then I tried again. I did like one or two. And then like, it was a process. But like in the middle of the process, I was like, there's just no way like I'll never be able to probably train and do what I need to do to like actually do this at the level I want.
It sucks too, because like as a kid, you saw this potential, you know, because like you were crushing it in the amateurs, and then you had these unfortunate like health setbacks with Epstein
Yeah.
Barr, and then this, and it's like probably so frustrating, like knowing your ability, but like you're limited by your body. It sucks,
It's-
dude.
yeah. And it's, I mean, you know, how many kids go through that, right?
It's a brutal sport, man.
it's a bit part of it. And that's kind of, even as an amateur, you know, it was one of those things every time I'd get to a point where it was like I was winning things or like winning regionals and doing that, and then something would happen. Like same thing with the Epstein Barr. Like I think I forgot what I know I won a few motos that year, but I was like top 3 at the regionals in Southeast, which is always tough. And then I was winning motos too. So I was like going to Loretta's feeling pretty good. And then all of a sudden that Epstein Barr and stuff, and you're just shocked by it. But,
I feel like half the battle of becoming like a supercross, motocross champion is just staying healthy.
it honestly, it and I do tell this to some kids, like Seth Dennis is a good buddy of mine. He's like a young up and comer, like he's doing futures now. I've known him since he was basically a 50 rider, and he's had a few injuries the past couple years that have really like derailed him a bit. And yeah, it's just, that is the hardest part. It's like you want to be, I mean, you want to win and you want to be the best like as an amateur, but you can also lose so much. So it's like, you know, it really doesn't matter till you get to that edge where you're about to turn pro. It's like when you need to have the ride and be ready to go into supercross and hopefully be on a team and whatnot. But like, I try to just like tell younger kids, like, hey, you know, like, especially when they're only like 10 years old, I'm like, listen, like, you're going to have like days you're not good. You're going to be 8th place, but like, that's better than breaking your arm and missing 6 months. Like you just need to continually just build slowly but surely.
Look at Ryan Dungey, dude.
Yeah. He is a good
I mean?
example of it.
Like you don't have to be like number one out of the gate. Like you can work your way to get
Yeah.
there, you know,
Yeah.
and just be consistent and like slow progress. And then all of a sudden you're the number one guy,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
without just killing yourself.
Yeah. He is a good example. Actually, another guy who was like, he's from around here, so I grew up riding with him a bit, is Jason Thomas, which a lot of people, they know he's the guy on Supercross now that's down on the track doing the interviews and stuff. But Jason was same way. When he was an amateur, he was always like pretty good. There was always some guys that were like better than him on 80s and things like that, but he rarely had injuries. He was so good at just little progress here, little progress here. And then as he went from 80s up until pro, basically, like all those people that beat him on 80s and things, he eventually surpassed them. And then, you know, he went to Supercross, and like, I'm not sure how many injuries he had, but he raced almost every single Supercross season while he had to do, I mean, if I could be totally wrong, somebody can fact check it, but I swear he had to have done 10 to 12 years almost straight without any issues. And
It's just unheard of today.
yeah. And sometimes too, like he knew his limitations, and like some days I think he got a couple top 10s, but he would be, you know, in that bubble range between 10 and 20, like a lot of like probably 13, 14, 15. But he was so good at just like, he never had those huge setbacks. So he was able to ride at a super high level for so long that he made
Better to get a bunch of 12ths than try to get an 8th and break your arm,
yeah.
you know?
And eventually the 8th will come if you keep if
Yeah.
you keep doing that, eventually you'll move into that, which I think he did quite a bit. But
yeah.
but that he was able to have, he's a great example of someone that wasn't quite like factory or anything, but was able to have a really solid career racing Supercross. And then you see, when he moved on, he went to Fly, and he's the announcer at Supercross. So he's had like, you know, through that, he's had a pretty awesome career.
Then there's dudes like you who've had some like major setbacks, and that's challenging in itself. Like you've had multiple setbacks throughout your life. And I think another one, like during that period of racing, is obviously like you mentioned how much your family supported you. Like they gave everything so that you could go racing. And then I know you lost your mom around that time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I'm sure that had a big impact on your momentum as well.
And that was a tough one because we always went racing as a family. And, she was a huge part of it. Like she would work on my bike sometimes, do all that. And, when the, this, I guess the sad part about it or the hard part about it was like right around the time that I broke both my arms and was out for that period was when she got diagnosed with cancer. So it was like while I was trying to like come back and do anything when I didn't know if I was going to ever ride again or anything, and that was like such a big family thing. She started going through all that, and the chemo and all the stuff. And so
What kind of cancer did she have?
she had colon cancer. Yeah.
Man.
And
Was it pretty like late when they found it?
Yeah, it was, I believe it was like stage 3 or stage 4 when they found it already. So, it's already down the road quite a bit. And, so then between that, then we kind of had our own battles going on at the same time, which was kind of tough. And then, the unfortunate thing was that, she made it a lot longer than they said she would.
How long after the diagnosis?
Almost 5 years from it. And they didn't, originally I think they maybe said a couple years. So she, made it quite a while. And then the only unfortunate thing was that it was like, when she passed away, I was like almost back, but I hadn't quite reached like fully where I was like able to race. I was racing the pit bikes full time and that was going pretty well. And I was riding for like BBR Monster. I was like one of the East Coast guys for them. So that was like my only factory ride would have been that for pit bikes. But, so I was doing that full time. So like we were still going racing and stuff, obviously just in a different capacity.
She was coming with you.
And then, so she was still going to all the pit bike races and things like that. And then, at the end there, that was kind of right before, and it was also right when I was switching to riding the ramps and stuff more. So it was like the next year, basically after she passed, it was like I started to race more Supercross again. And then I was starting to look at doing FMX.
You tried to keep racing after she passed.
Yeah. I tried. Yeah. Kept
Probably
it going.
sucked because she was a big part of the program. Like you said, she would like work on your bikes and help you go racing.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it was, for the whole family, it was a huge thing. And then just, once thing, I mean, obviously I'm not the only one that this happens to, like, so, it just affects everyone, like everyone, involved. It's such a heavy thing. And especially when they're younger and stuff at the time, my mom was only in her early to mid 50s, I think. So
it's messed up, dude.
When it's a lot easier to deal with, when if they're 70, 80, and they, that they had like a full life and everything, but when it gets cut short and you're like,
messed up,
it's,
dude. It's hard to accept.
Yeah.
I heard so many cool things about your mom. We have a friend, my friend Nick Pastor. He grew up with you. Is that how you say his last name?
Yeah. Pastor.
Yeah. I mean, he lived down the street from me in Denver.
Yeah.
I would hang out with him a bunch back when I lived there. And he was telling me about like how cool your family was. And he's like, dude, like when Tom lost his mom, it was like so devastating to all of us. Like he was saying like that house was like a safe house for me. Like he's like, I could show up there at 3 a.m. Tom didn't even have to be there, but like I knew I could, like I had somewhere I could go.
Yeah.
And like just like your mom was like so cool, and that when she passed, it was just like devastating for everyone.
Yeah. That's so funny. I always forget about that connection that you and Nick lived right.
So random, dude.
That is the most random thing. And like for people that don't know, like this is my buddy Nick was like one of my best friends in high school. Like that's where we met. And there was like a small group of us that skated, and he had nothing to do with moto at all. But we would skate and surf and do stuff. And yeah, just so basically, yeah, all my younger years, all through high school. And then even when he went to college, he went here to UF. And so we hung out all the time. And so yeah, it's just, he was there, one of the few people who, got to hang out and experience, being at the house and stuff. And so it was like all those teenage years and stuff, that was like, he was one of the few people that were there for everything. And then, even on into the 20s and everything like that. So it was, yeah, he was definitely, one of the people that probably, yeah, felt it more than, like friends want to be there and they had support and stuff. But
Well, when you grow up with people and you're like having sleepovers at each other's houses and stuff, like I think that's almost your mom too.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah, you kind of end up with like a
Like
second
you end
mom.
up kind of growing up with these people.
Yeah.
So like I'm sure he felt it too. And everyone around and then, I don't want to linger on sad stuff too long, but it's part of your story.
Yeah.
I know like you lost your dad this year too. So like I was thinking about it on the drive here, I'm like, man, life must feel different like once your parents are gone.
Yeah. No, it's yeah, it's tough. It's never, anyone that's lost anyone close, like, friends, I've lost friends and things here and there. And, but it's just, yeah, there's nothing quite like, your parents. It's a different, level of, emotion and things. And it's, and it's one of those like double-edged swords. Like some people don't really have their parents aren't as supportive or in their life. So when they do pass, it's not as big of a deal.
There's a way to look at it like I'm lucky that I get to be sad about this.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a double-edged sword where you're like, well, I got to have like the most supportive parents, ever, that, without that, probably would have never ended up where I am now. So it's like, but then, at the same time, it's a much sadder, like deeper, loss, that you have to deal with at the end.
So when all this was happening and you had 2 broken arms, you were coming back from that, trying to give racing another go after all this adversity and setbacks you've had, like, was there ever a time where you considered just like walking away from all of it and like doing something different?
It's a weird one. It didn't really occur to me. I knew that I liked riding and that I loved riding and that there must be something there that I can do. And so I don't know. Like I looked into other things at the time because I needed to think about, making income, and like, I can't live off my parents my whole life or anything like that. And, so there were like little things, like I got a real estate license.
Oh, no way.
There were some stuff like when I had injuries, I would do something like, oh, I'll get a real estate license while I'm injured.
Did you ever sell homes?
And I didn't actually. It did help me in the end when I was like when I bought a home and then like did some like investing or like rental property stuff. It was like good to know all that. So I actually still have it. So it's so easy to keep now because it's been so many years that I just renew it. And I'm like, well, worst case scenario, I'll start being a realtor. But so I would do stuff like that or learn something here and there. And then around that time even though I had got hurt on the ramps originally, and I was like, well, maybe the ramps is like still an option. And freestyle was like huge at that time. And I was like, well, maybe like shows and stuff. So I already knew tricks. Like even when I raced, I would do like knack-knacks and no-footed cans and different things like that. So I was like, oh, maybe I can just I'll start doing some shows. And so at that period, I would try to race some Supercross as much as I could. And then the second half of the year, I would start doing some FMX shows and stuff. So I'd started randomly picking up stuff, just doing FMX, which kind of got me on the ramps a lot more. And then when I got on the ramps, I was like, I could already do whips and stuff. So when I started riding the ramps a lot, I was like, actually, dang, I can whip it better on the ramps. I was like, this is sweet. Like maybe there's something there. And then around the same time, I was in California racing the first few Supercross rounds, like Anaheim and stuff like that. And I linked up again with Ronnie Renner. So like when I was on 80s and I started racing in Florida, Ronnie was like the man. You know, he was a few years older, like he was in the 14, 15, 85 class, like about to move up. And he was like the guy, like Dade City, he smoked everybody. And so he was one of the first people I met because I used to practice there sometimes and stuff. And he was always cool to me. And then when I was out there, I hit him up just about riding. I didn't know anything about free riding, but I knew that's what he did and everything. And so I did the few rounds. And then before I came home, he was like, hey, he's like, you ever rode the dunes before? And I was like, oh, I haven't rode anything. He's like, why don't you get a paddle and come up to Dumont? He's like, I'm doing, it's my free ride tour. And I was like, okay, sweet. So my brother and me were out there at the time and we drove up to Dumont, and it was like, I didn't realize it was like such a thing. It was Ronnie Renner's like Red Bull free ride tour. So it was like a full Red Bull deal on Fuel TV. So they were filming.
You thought it was just a casual ride day.
I knew that he did his thing, like, and I had seen some of the stuff he'd done previously, but I had no idea what I was in for. And I get there, and there's like Miles Richmond and Tommy Clowers. There's like all these dudes that I've seen in videos and X Games and stuff. And I'm like, wow. And then it's like Red Bull has like the trophy truck guy out there and this buggy driver, and like Garth is out there taking photos. It's like this crazy thing. And I'm like, holy crap, this is nuts. And but it was sweet. I took to it really well. It was like, just felt natural. And so once we started riding, I ended up like doing well enough that they actually put me in the show as like one of the riders. And then I ended up doing one more of them later on. There were 4 that year. So I ended up doing 2 of them. And that was like my introduction to free riding, basically.
That's pretty lucky, man. It's like you kind of just like knew the right people at the right time, and you ended up in the right place. And like this opportunity kind of fell in front of you, and you just did what you do best, like ride your dirt bike, and it happened to like catch the attention of certain people and like lead you, maybe inspire you and show you this like new direction that you'd probably never would have imagined before.
Yeah, it was it's kind of one of those mixes. I always had an open mindset, and I like jumping the ramps too. So I wasn't just stuck to like, if I don't race Supercross, I can't do anything. Where some, that's just some guys' mindsets. It's like Supercross or nothing. Or if I can't race, like I quit. They just quit riding altogether, when there's like all these other avenues, where guys are more open. Like you've seen guys, not just freestyle, but like you'll see guys who go over to off-road or some other types of racing, right? And do really, really well.
I think motocross is such a good foundation for like you gain so much skill racing. I feel like all the best freestyle, free ride, anything, like I feel like most of them started racing motocross, right?
Yeah. A lot of them, to ride all that stuff. Yeah. Everything you learn in moto and stuff like that is like a massive advantage, I think. But yeah, it was just one of those things. I mean, it's just one of those things like, you meet good people, and like, if you're a good person, I feel like that's why those opportunities come, because like people like riding with you and they like hanging out with you. So then they invite you over here and want to give you opportunity. And then if you show up and like do what you can do, then more can come after that. So it just was one of those random things that happened. And then that kind of, at that point, I was also like doing the whips and stuff pretty good at the same time. And then Renner kind of noted that as well and was like, thing is,
like, there's something here, dude.
like at that time I was trying to get into X Games as well. So I was starting to try and get videos up to the X Games, the guy who handled the moto at X Games. And then the next year I did the Renner tour again, but I did the whole thing, and stuff. And then, still didn't get into X Games that year either.
But
And
still, like, I feel like this kind of transitional moment probably felt really cool because up to that point, like with this focus on racing, you were just going against the grain,
Yeah.
like swimming upstream
Yeah.
the whole way. And then all of a sudden you start trying these new things and it's like things kind of start like coming to you, and you must have had this feeling like that you were moving in the right direction.
Yeah. And it's like hindsight's 2020, right? Like when I was racing C class, youth class up into B, I would do knacks, nothings. Like part of my day riding would be learning tricks. So
like you said, you would love like throwing whips and doing the jumps.
And I would throw whips like in the C class. I was throwing whips like at Reddick on the big tabletop. And it was like, so it's like one of those things, it's like, oh, I probably should have known this. But, it obviously, I guess that's where like the injuries and those things that are normally such obviously awful things that kind of like derail careers and stuff, actually, because I was open to it and like, looking like I just love riding a dirt bike. What else can I do? If I'm not racing Supercross, I'm not going to make it here and make enough money here. And it kind of led me to that direction. So in the end, it was like sort of pointed me in the right path. And now it's like what I really love to do. And everything I've gotten to do, since the first year at Monster Cup, when I like the first whip contest, basically up until now, is like everything has been like what I've wanted to do.
If you ride motorcycles long enough, you start to realize it's not about if something bad will happen, it's about when. And when it does, having the right people in your corner makes all the difference. That's why I've partnered with my friends at Rider Justice. They're not just a law firm, they're actually riders. They understand the risks we take every time we throw a leg over the bike, and they're here to support specifically the motorcycle community. From helping you understand insurance coverage to being by your side to help you through the process and provide you with resources if you ever happen to find yourself in an accident. But what I really respect is what they do beyond that. Educating riders to be more prepared, hosting crucial safety training, showing up to events, supporting the community, embedding themselves in the culture, and actively working to make the roads safer for all of us. You can learn more and find the resources that you might need at riderjustice.com. I feel like, I think you just eventually find your thing, eventually something clicks and it works. And like, even just the name, like free riding, like, I feel like it, like who you are, like this idea of freedom.
Yeah.
Like you embody that so much, just the way you live your life. Like, dude, I haven't been able to track you down for the last 8 months because you're just like on the road and you don't really have a plan. You're kind of just like, you're kind of like going with the flow day by day, like, which is so cool. And I think like this career path is like so fitting for who you are because there's this element of freedom and creativity and exploration and all the things that represent like who you are. I feel like you just found the perfect thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So sick.
Yeah. It took a while. It definitely wasn't easy. And then, even in the beginning was like, even once I started doing the free riding, and then you still need to like get into stuff like X Games and the whip contests and things like that. So that was like a whole nother stepping stone that took a lot to get there. But yeah, like so many things had to come into play, for it to actually work out the way it did.
One thing also, like, I noticed, when I was thinking about free riding, a big element of that is like creativity and like finding lines, finding jumps, but also you're like a pretty creative person. Like you shoot photography, right? Like you're
Yeah.
into cameras and all that,
Yeah.
which is cool too. How'd you get into like what's this creative side all about?
Uh, I don't know. I mean, in like high school, I took art class and stuff like that. I think it was just stuff I was into. And, yeah, the photo thing was just more, it's funny. There was a period of time when I was like helping out, Harold in Moto Playground. And so I would sometimes he'd ask me like, hey, can you go over to Gatorback and like just give me like a race report and like take some photos of some guys. Yeah, it was like super random. And so like I knew Harold, and like I had a column in Moto Playground for a little bit there, like when I first turned pro, like an advice column kind of type deal for like kids coming up that were like privateers and things. And it just so random I had to get a camera because he needed some photos. And so that was like my first anything into photos. And I was like, it wasn't like necessarily my thing at that point. But then when I started traveling for the free riding, and I was like going pretty cool places, and I'm like, man, this is like, I should probably like document this or like take some photos of this to remember. And then that kind of led to me like getting a better camera and like a setup. And then, you take the photos, and then I was like, well, I want to take good photos. Like, I don't just want to take, mediocre photos of these places. Like, and so then, I started learning more and more and like tutorials and like things, and then upgrade my equipment. And then it just turned into a thing where like everywhere I went, I made a point to like stop and do like landscape photography mostly. And then for a while, like my vacations, when I would take like a vacation during the year, it would be like to Iceland or Patagonia or somewhere I would travel, take my camera, and then like my vacation was waking up at like 5 a.m. every day and like shooting sunrise, driving somewhere, shooting sunset, staying the night over like for 7-10 days straight. So that was,
I think gives you a new appreciation for like your environment, because you're
yeah.
you're intentionally stopping to like appreciate the beauty of where you're at, which is so sick.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess other advantages too is just when it came to when I'm out there shooting with different photographers and stuff, like, I have an idea, or like when they go to a certain spot, I kind of know what they're looking for.
I was going to say that because like a really big part of free ride life is like, yeah, there's the X Games and competition side, but like the content side is really a big part of what you do, because it's like surfing or skateboarding, and
Yeah.
you guys are also creating content when you're out riding in the hills, and it's cool to like have this ability to see both sides of that spectrum, because there's this symbiotic relationship between like the rider and the guy making content, and like
Yeah.
when you can like understand them
Yeah.
and like know what they're doing, like you said, you can kind of have an understanding of like what they're shooting, and just makes that like work so much more smoothly.
Yeah.
It's sick.
Yeah. Makes it a lot easier when you're, the direction and what the aim is.
Mhm. And then with creativity, like what role does that play in your riding? Because like I think that's also a big part in free ride, particularly, is like being creative.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, a lot of it, yeah, the creativity part, I guess it's just when you're coming up with stuff, it's kind of a mix of creativity and maybe a little bit of, I don't know, geometry or landscaping or something. Cause there's like, you're there with a shovel most of the time, like trying to build a jump. But I mean, trying to, I guess the creative part is like it's just what can you do? And, you're trying to find features that are unique and you're like, okay, well, this is like this weird shark fin thing. Like what can I do with this to make something that's like people maybe haven't seen before?
Dude, how cool to have that ability to do that, because I feel like every kid like looks out their window in the
Yeah,
car when you're
that's-
driving and you're like just imagining like a rider jumping from that hill to that hill, or like over that peak, or like, but then like from your eye, even like as a photographer, like you're taking in this landscape
yeah,
and then you're like, oh, I could jump this hill to that hill.
yeah, yeah,
And like, but you're like one of the few people in the world that could actually do it, which is so sick, because you can take like this, it's like combining everything you love. It's
yeah,
like your creativity, like your vision of a landscape as a photographer, and then like viewing it as a rider, and like how can I make this my canvas for writing and creativity in that way,
yeah.
and then bring it all to life. This really cool way.
Yeah, it definitely has a cool mix. And I mean, there's been times too where I've you know, had to set up my camera on a tripod and have somebody just push the button. So
Because you had a very specific vision.
yeah, and
Yeah.
so or it's just somebody that like I'm with people that are either riding or like
They're not
no
photographers.
photographers. So I'm literally setting it on I'm like figuring out what I want it to look like, right? And like the view and everything, the angle, and then what I'm going to do on it. And then setting the camera up specific for that. And then setting the, shutter and aperture, all the stuff so that it's like ready to go. And then I'm like, hey,
Press this button.
when I get to the bottom of that lip, just hold this button down until I disappear. And then that's all you have to do. And then,
Yeah.
you're going to end up with something decent.
I think one of the things you're known for is doing big whips, obviously. Is how important is style to you?
I mean, I'm more like a style flow guy. So anything that's like, more stylish, more flow. That's even the whip. I try my best to do. It's, obviously there's a lot of different styles. Some people like different things, but, I just think that like a perfect whip is just like looks easy. Everything's just one fluid motion. There's never you're not really snapping anything or moving too much or anything. It's like you're making just like one perfect arc like motion. And, that's into like a perfect landing. It's kind of like my idea of perfect whip.
Whips are cool because I think like everybody has their own version of it. But
Yeah.
you'd think it's like one thing, but everyone does it so different.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird in that way.
There's a lot of different effective ways to do it as well, but you'll see like some similarities like between some people here and there, like they do something like how they take off or something is a little different, but for the most part, if you were to watch like X Games, if you just like blanked everybody out, made them just,
You could like tell by their silhouette.
you could probably tell exactly who it was by how the silhouette moves. If you're
totally
pay attention and watch the riders. Yeah.
Yeah, like if you took like yourself, Tyler Behrman, and Jared McNeil, like I could so easily like just make it like a silhouette in the
Yeah.
sky. Like I could nail it every time.
Yeah.
Like, who's who?
It is
So
kind of
funny.
funny how it is. And exactly, because at that level, there is a lot of technique and specific things you have to do right. And so you kind of, the techniques because you watch. So it's like, I know the technique that like, I'll just take the final from X Games this year. Like I know the technique, Julian, I know what his is. I know what Jared's is, and I know what Tyler's is. And it's like, I can, just sitting here in my head, I know I can picture exactly how they take off, like the body movement, how they whip bike,
So wild.
It's,
Dude, I was so mad watching X Games when like I mean, I know it's all subjective and it's a judged contest and it's hard, but like you should have won that one, dude.
oh,
I like when I was on the couch with my fiance watching it, and you did one where you were like upside down and backwards, and I was like, dude, he just won. Tom just won 100%. So I was pretty disappointed in that one, but that was sick.
Yeah.
That was super sick.
It's, like you said, it's subjective and it's different. Like sometimes some years you could do the exact same whip and one year it wins and the next year they're looking for something else. So you're like, it changes quite a bit. So, I mean, you're talking, and at those margins, you're talking the whole final, which, like I said, was Tyler, Jared, me, and Julian. Like the whips were massive.
They're all insane.
So it's
They're
just like,
different. It's not like racing where there's a clear like winner. Like this guy crossed the checker flag first. He won.
Yeah.
Like a whip, it's like, well, in my opinion, he won. And in my opinion,
Yeah. And so it's hard to like,
hard to quantify.
And sometimes they like more, like obviously this year, like, I mean, all the whips are huge. Julian's, the whip he won with was massive, but this year, obviously they liked, he has a little more tweak to his where he kind of goes up really looped and he gives it like a real good crank, like quick, and then looks backwards basically at the end. So it's a pretty accentuated,
it's more dramatic,
and you're like, and like it looks sick, but then it's, sometimes, you get
that little extra wow factor.
Yeah. So sometimes it's hard to, you need that as well as the big whip. So it's like, but then sometimes they're like looking for a more smoother whip. You don't necessarily know. So
you just got to do you and do your best. And then it is what it is.
And that's most of the guys in it. Like, we're competitive, but like most people know, like not every year the best guy actually wins. Like sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Sometimes, the best guy maybe gets second or third. And we all know, like we're pretty open. Like I've definitely gotten a medal or something before, and I was like, I think yours was actually a little better this time. But, either the camera angle or something you got was a little better.
And again, it's just up to like the judge's opinion.
Yeah.
So it is.
And you have like, it's best whip. And so I always try to do two whips. Like I seat bounce both ways. And so I just think that's the seat bounce whip is normally like the ultimate. You're most likely going to win. Most other whips won't beat that for any whip contests. Cause that's like the traditional, moto whip kind of. So, but yeah, that's the only thing that bums me out a little is sometimes I feel like I wish they gave more to doing opposite direction whips.
You're like showing that you have variety. Like if you're going out and doing like massive whips in both directions, you're doing turn downs, turn ups, like
so it's
old school motocross whips, something different. They got variety, and they're all sick.
Yeah, so I wish they did that a bit more because there is like it's one thing to do a seat bounce whip, a turn down, and a turn up all your direction, your normal direction, but to do a seat bounce whip, your normal direction and your opposite, like abnormal direction, is so much harder than a turn down or a turn up. And so if you're doing it at that level where it's like you're questioning, is that as big or bigger than everyone else? Like, I feel like it should get a bigger boost because nobody else, and it's like a lot of people don't do it. So it's kind of one of those things, you only get so many runs, right? You're getting 3 or 4 jumps. So most guys stick to one whip and they just try to do it the biggest they possibly can.
Because you're really just getting judged on your biggest one.
And
right?
it's interesting because they do take into account supposedly all the jumps. It like the biggest one, if it's odd like that, whoa, is like, it's normally going to win. But when it's like close between people, they start to look at like your other whips. And that's kind of like they start to have like tiebreakers and things. And like, so yeah, I just wish that they would count when you're doing an oppo, because up till now, like it's actually rare still, even to this day, with all the whippers that have come through. I was the first one pretty much, I think. I'm trying to think if there would have been anybody else. That seat bounces both directions in the competition. Most people don't. take the chance to see bouncing like their oppo direction. And then recently, the only two guys who have done it is Patrick Evans and Wyatt Fontenot. They're the only other two guys ever that will whip both ways in the competition. So it's like, that's that shows you how hard and difficult it actually is.
Yeah. And speaking of other riders and style and like, how style is so important in what you guys do, who I guess maybe even like growing up, who were some of your like style icons?
Oh yeah, I guess like, I mean, obviously racing McGrath.
Yeah, dude.
That was like the guy that I grew up trying to emulate, that I wanted to look like, on a bike. Probably later on, I'm trying to think, like Hanny always, I mean, you like, Hanny, and even when I was starting to try to get into X Games, was the year in LA when he threw that one whip, which is still like such an epic whip to watch.
All these years later, it's like one of the best.
I know, it's still one of the sickest whips. And so, yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, there were like a lot of free ride guys that I really like Brenner always had really good style. Drake McElroy.
Yeah, Drake was sick.
Yeah,
Drake's OG.
Yeah, he's just looked so cool on a bike. Trying to think. I mean, there's so many.
What about now?
That's
like who are the guys now that you're like have like who are just killing it? Who's like, because you're up there at the top competing for gold medals, but who amongst your competitors are you like most impressed by?
I mean, right now it's pretty gnarly. There's a lot of like really insanely talented guys. Like, I mean, if you go back, I mean, obviously, especially style guys, you have like Tyler, and I'm trying to think, like, obviously in the last few, they're kind of been like the same guys for a while now, and only recently there's kind of been some new ones that have been able to break into that level, because it kind of started like me and Jared McNeil we're the longest two right now in whip, and it's so me and him he's been through like another generation probably than I have, or probably close, but like me and him competed through like Potter, Hanny, Twitch, into the next generation of Berriman, Axel, Wanky, guys like that. And now the next generation, you have like Wyatt and Patrick, and some guys like that are coming up. And so, I mean, the last couple years, obviously, like two guys, there's actually three guys. I'll throw one in there that hasn't been riding as much, but obviously Patrick Evans. I mean, he's kind of been one that's like, he's always been so talented. And I used to give him a little crap, I think, or whatnot, because he used to maybe not work as hard, or I don't know exactly what it was, but he was always super talented, but maybe wasn't quite willing to go that.
I think that's a pretty common theme for like super talented, naturally talented people, is you take for granted the work. Like, I think it's the same with like Hanny,
Yeah.
A lot of these like really naturally gifted dudes, they don't have that work ethic because they never had to work for it, because it just came naturally.
Yeah. And so, maybe that's what it was, but whatever it was, like a few years ago, there was a point where Patrick turned the knob, and it's hard to say, right? Like, I don't know if there's someone more talented right now. I mean, he has to be up at the top of the list as like talent on a dirt bike, and the stuff he's doing is
insane.
It's pretty nuts.
Yeah.
And definitely, obviously him. And then Wyatt Fontenot, and
I feel like he's underrated, because he's like, I've been seeing him all over the place, and he's so sick, but he doesn't get the attention that a lot of these guys get.
Yeah, not quite as much. Probably a little bit of it has to be with me. He was an East Coast guy, from Louisiana, and so like, it's hard when you're East Coast guy. And even Patrick originally was like, I don't know if he's from the East Coast, but he was, I know his family and stuff was up in,
He's like South Carolina or something. I just
North
interviewed him.
Carolina?
I forget though. He was like, yeah, North
Or
Carolina,
North
maybe.
Carolina. He was
Yeah.
up there somewhere because, his dad worked with JGR and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
And so, he moved out there, and then Wyatt moved out there eventually. And so, that making those moves is probably like part of the reason that they've both been able to also like get the notoriety. Cause you just don't quite get it when you're an East Coast guy. Like, I mean, I've been there too. It's like, it's a lot tougher. The sponsorships don't come as easy and for whatever reason. And, but yeah, Wyatt's just he's just a badass rider. I randomly had seen him on Instagram and stuff and just met him in the hills one day out in California. And rode with him for the first time. And it was like, super nice dude, like Louisiana guy. And I was like, oh, this dude's pretty cool. And he rips and he's so good. And, so like, it's kind of one of those things where it's, not to like, I don't know, toot my own horn and stuff, but like, when X Games was like looking for whip riders that year, actually, he was one of the names that they asked me about a couple people, which Patrick was one of them. And I was like, yeah, of course, Patrick is worth having in there. And they're like, oh, is there anybody else we don't know? Because they already did know who Patrick was. But they didn't know anybody else. They were like, hey, you got any suggestions? And just same thing, like you said, when being a good person and like everything else, I was like, oh, well, this dude's like super cool. I was like, you should check out, like, I don't know if he's like ready for it now or not, but like follow or check out YO because they watch the Instagrams and everything.
Kind of like with when Renner gave you an opportunity,
Yeah.
maybe not even totally intentionally, but just like him kind of like, giving you some props, sending you the invite. Like, it's sick that now you found some success in the sport and you can kind of pass that on and like, open up some eyes to this guy and like give him an opportunity.
Yeah. And it makes it makes a big difference because that's the thing. Like when they, I had been in it so that like they trusted my judgment of it when they were asking me. And, so that year Patrick did get in, and then I gave them two other names at the time. I gave them Wyatt, and then I gave them, who else did I give them that year? Just slipping my mind right now. It'll come to me. But, but Wyatt actually ended up getting in too, as an alternate. And then he showed up and he was sending it so big in practice, they put him in, which they rarely do that. They almost never do. So yeah, that year.
Oh, he didn't get in because he's an alternate, like, and someone got hurt. They just wanted him in.
He was actually an alternate, the ninth guy basically for the whip.
They just added an extra guy.
And they were just like,
Whoa.
They were like, oh, well, we got to put this guy in.
That's
so
sick,
it was like,
dude.
yeah. So, and then he came through. Like Patrick, obviously he got fourth that year. So he made the final his first year and got fourth. And then I think Wyatt was fifth maybe that year. But like, obviously right there, it just proved both of them belonged. But it is that type of stuff, like having somebody kind of vouch for you that's been there. And like, I sort of had the same thing when I was trying to get into whip contests, X Games, or the guy who was the moto guy at X Games, not actually them, basically kept telling me no. And I had a funny phone call with him too, where he basically told me I sucked and my whips weren't good enough to like overdo my lack of popularity and stuff. And so he would never.
Dude, that probably felt so shitty at the time. You're like, what?
It's a story I've told a couple times, but yeah, there was a guy there. He's still in the industry. He works for Monster actually, like, and he at the time was the guy for X Games, basically, that you had to go through. And yeah, one of the years, he actually called me on the phone and was like, "Yeah, I just wanted to give you a call." And he gave me this whole lecture about how do you know what you're getting into? Like people break femurs and like get hurt doing this.
Big,
And
I've
I'm
been doing
like,
this my whole life.
I was actually raised Supercross for a bit, and he basically told me all this stuff and was just like, yeah, he's like, I see, you know, in the videos, like the whips are good, but like, why should I put you in? I got these other guys. And he's like, you're not, you know, your popularity's not really good enough to overcome your whips. And yeah, it was,
Or no, your whips aren't good enough to overcome your popularity.
Sorry, yeah, that way. And yeah, so basically wasn't, if I was more popular, then the whips would be okay, but like, yeah, you know, so it was like a crazy thing. And that, you know, so he basically said no to me. It was like three years or so in a row. He told me no.
He's
And
almost like, oh, you like, your riding is good, but you're not cool enough to be part of the show.
It was kind of basically what he was telling me. And then
so lame.
And it was funny because at the time they had speed and style too. So I was racing Supercross. So I was like, sweet, I would love to do speed and style too. And he was like, no, you got to flip to do that. And I was like, aren't there a couple guys who don't flip? Like Kerry Hart was one of them at the time. It was towards the end of his career. And he was like, yeah, he's like, but he's like, yeah, he's like, they don't have to or whatever. And he's like, and I was like, okay, so there's like no chance or whatever. He's like, is there any chance like I have of either like whip, speed style, anything? And he's like, listen, man, like, you know, I don't want to be too hard on you, but like, you'd probably have a better chance of marrying Pink and her getting you into X Games than on your own merit.
What a dick, man. Oh, so that's so lame.
Oh, so it was, you know, obviously you're bummed. Like, I'm like, crap, I'm never going to get in. And then like, you know, 3 times I get no's. And then all of a sudden Monster Cup, few years into Monster Cup,
they have the best whip.
Dirt Shark creates the best whip. And it's just a crazy thing. It goes back to this of like knowing people and having friends, but they do that whip contest. And I'm like, oh, maybe this is the opportunity, right? All the invites go out. I see everybody on social, like Monster Cup invite, you know, this and that. I never get anything.
What the hell, dude?
And I'm like, dang, dude. I'm never going to get into a whip contest, am I? And I'm watching one day, like a month before a Monster Cup, I'm watching, they made a video promo for it, right? And at that year, the format was there were 5 gold medalists from X Games, like Twitch and Potter and everybody, that were automatic into the final. And then a qualifier where 3 guys go to the final to compete against them. And the list goes up and it's like McNeil, you know, everybody you would expect pretty much. And then there's a Parsons on there. And I'm like, what? And I'm thinking at the time it was sort of towards the end of Doug Parsons' career. And he was a whip guy too, free ride whip guy. So I'm like, is this Doug or is this me? Like, I have no idea, right? I never get an email, nothing. And then like a week later, I get a text and it's from Dirt Shark, Ash. And he's like, hey, Parsons. He's like, you down to do the whip contest? And I was like, yeah, of course I'll be. Yeah. He's like, sick. Okay. We'll see you there.
That's so cool, dude.
And going back to, you know, just reverting back, the whole reason it happened, they invited everyone and they had 1 or 2 spots left for the qualifying. And Adam Jones, who was a monster rider at the time, he was one of the guys they asked, hey, do you know anybody?
And vouch for you.
I had become kind of friends with him through social media and then riding and stuff. And he was like, hey, what about Parsons unit? You know, I mean, obviously they were like, who? Like, what are you talking? And he's like, yeah, he's a Florida guy. He throws good whips. And I guess Ash was like, all right, I'll check him out. If you vouch for him and you say he's good. And then that led to me getting into the Monster Cup, which lo and behold, the guy who'd been telling me 3 years no at X Games, that was the last whip contest he worked. So at that time he was leaving X Games, and Eric Pennard was taking over. And so Monster Cup was the last event as like whip contest he was actually working at. So
he was working with Monster and X Games?
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So he does like a lot of different stuff in Monster, and like then he does production and a lot of stuff on like some videos and movies and things too. And so I show up at Monster Cup and there he is. And he's like,
God.
"Hey man." I mean, he was nice. He's like, "Hey, I'm glad you made it out. That's cool, whatever." And I was like, "Thanks, man. That's nice of you." And so it was just a crazy thing, because then lo and behold, right? Like I qualified second, and went into the final. And so I'm just stoked. Like, I can't believe I'm in the final, and it's Twitch, Hanny, all these guys. And Hanny had just won LA with that whip that you're talking, right? And so I'm the first guy to go. So when I come back around, Hanny's the one in front of me because he had won LA. So they let him be the last guy to go. So I'm just like, it kind of worked out, because once I was a little nervous at first because I started first. But then once the loop started, I saw Hanny like every time he jumped. And so every time he went and he threw some big whips, I was like, whew, okay. Wait,
the bar.
It's got to be bigger than that, I guess.
Yeah.
And so it gave me like motivation to just send it. And then I ended up winning.
No
which
way,
is like,
dude.
So like just an insane thing to that. And then first contest.
That's the coolest story ever. I didn't know that.
And then so I win it and have the trophy. And then I see this guy after with the trophy.
What'd he say?
I don't really remember. I think he was just like, "Nice job" or something. And I was like, I guess I actually am good enough to be here.
That must have felt so cool, man.
Yes.
Not only like just hoping to get invited to the contest.
Yeah.
And then just being like shocked that you could even make the main.
Yeah.
And then like winning it.
And it was one of those things too of just like not necessarily not giving up, but even though I was being told no, I was like still trying to better myself. So like every time I was told no, I would work a little more. And so when I first tried to get in, I probably don't win a whip contest, right? But now I've had like 2-3 years that I've been being told no. And so I've been working on it so that when I show up, I finally get the invite. I was like ready,
so prepared, and you kind of got a chip on your shoulder because people keep telling you no. So you're just like, I'll show them, dude. I'm going to like whip this so hard.
Yeah. And so yeah. And for me, it was more of like a personal thing. Like I just wanted to throw like, okay, I know I can throw some big whips. Like I want to throw the biggest whip I've ever done tonight. And then lo and behold, that gives me my X Games invite. So like
that's so
all
sick.
the years of trying, I get into that whip contest, and then that earned me the invite to X Games.
I've been wearing a lot of pieces from Foreign Riders' new analog series lately, and I really love what they're doing with it. The whole idea is a return to the roots, like going back to the fundamentals, making simple products really well. Everything is small batch, handcrafted in their hometown of Toronto, and built with the focus on longevity. Not just something you wear for a season, but something that stays with you over time. And that's what really stands out to me. It's not about having more, it's about having less, but better. It's about being intentional with what you choose to wear, how you choose to live, and choosing items that not only fit and feel amazing, but actually mean something. That's what Foreign Rider is really about. If that resonates with you, you can check out the analog series at foreignrider.com and use code BYND for 20% off site-wide. That's code BYND, all caps, 20% off at foreignrider.com.
I mean, it's crazy because, we could just keep going and going because, I won that contest, and then 2 months later, broke my leg riding moto, spiral fractured my leg, then got my X Games invite.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Did you recover in
And
time?
so
No.
I didn't. So this was actually kind of a thing. Like at first I had a little bit of issue with it, with like X Games afterwards, even though I was cleared and everything. Like it got a little like shifted a bit, but I broke my leg and then I had a rod and everything in it. So like I was walking and everything, but because I spiral fractured it, I had this like piece of my shin that should have been tied back down, but they left it like gapped a bit. So it wasn't healing. And so when it came time to X Games, like I still wasn't riding yet because I was waiting for it to fully heal. I went to the doctor, was like, well, what do you think? Like if I rode? And he was like, it's up to you. He's like, it is what it is. He's like, if you want, you could do like a cast, like just around your leg so it'll fit in your boot just to give it a little extra support. I was like, sweet, I'll do that. So I did that and then go to X Games. And so what I basically did is Junior and the people at WW, the track up near Jacksonville where they had the national, they built me like a tabletop that I brought a ramp up to because I hadn't rode, obviously. I broke it in January. Then X Games was in July. So I hadn't rode that entire time yet. And so the week of X Games, I was like, okay, if I can jump the ram, I'll go. If not, I don't go. And so they set me up a ramp, like up to a table so I can hop off it, like see what it feels like. And I'm jumping off it, but I can't hit it standing up because it's like too much pressure. And so, I mean, luckily seat balance was my whip anyway, is my best whip. So I start seat bouncing it and then I jump 75 and I'm like,
What about the landing though, dude?
So I would just kind of landed weighted more on one foot, but it was like, as long as I took a bit off, it was okay. It was more the G out of the ramp that was like more, and you could kind of like, it was just, I don't know. Yeah, it was just easier. Right. And so I went out there for 20 minutes on like Tuesday, jumped it, went back on Wednesday, jumped it again. I was like, okay, I can jump it. Thursday, probably Wednesday or Thursday, I load up, drive to Texas. And then we get to X Games. I do the practice and everything. Feels okay. And that year they had like a massive landing. So it was actually way better for me. It's like a super steep, massive landing. And I'm like, okay, I got the cast on there and everything. It feels pretty good. I'm like, okay, I think I'm good to go. And then 30 minutes before the contest, I get the X Games people come up and they say, hey, like we heard that you have like a broken leg and like, have you been cleared by a doctor? And I was like, well, yeah, I'm not like my doctor at home. I have this cast, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, okay, well, you can't ride unless you get cleared by our doctors. And so I don't know the full extent of it. I heard that like somebody, or actually I think maybe somebody's agent at the time, like said something to them to maybe get me out of it. I don't know. I never really found out the full truth behind it all, but, either way they came up, they made me go down to medical, which was like literally like 2 miles away. It felt like I go down there, I see the doctor, they take x-rays, they look at it. And he's like, I see you got the rod and everything. He's like, what? It's like, are you having any issues? I'm like, no. I was like, I rode practice. I'm fine. And, so the doctor's like, oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, I'll sign off on this. It's fine. And, tells him, yeah, no, he's good to go. Let him ride. And they take me back up on the golf cart and I get back up. Everybody's like on the floor already. And it's like 5 minutes to start. And I'm like trying to get all my stuff on. And I literally ride out. I go through the gate onto the floor. And it's like, go. So it was like the wildest
thing. So you
thing.
made it.
Yeah, barely. Like literally probably 5 minutes more. I miss it because they would have called it and put the alternate in if I hadn't made it. So I rolled out on the floor and then immediately it started. and we were right into the contest.
It's
And
crazy. How'd you end up doing?
and then I won.
Oh my
So it
God,
was like,
dude. Are
yeah,
you serious?
yeah. It was a crazy. I don't honestly. I just don't know. It was just
That's the craziest story that I never knew. That's so cool.
yeah. So it was
How does this
It's
always
wild.
happen to you?
Yeah.
Like, dude, last year when you were coming out to Salt Lake, like, weren't you like trying to find a bike last minute?
Oh, dude,
Like,
it's
you're
like
like literally you were still in Florida. You were here dealing with this land
yeah,
and flattening your compound because of the county,
yeah.
and your bike was messed up. So you're trying to find a bike to borrow like a week before X Games. How does this happen to you, dude?
I don't know, man. It's just part of it, I guess.
How do you maintain that focus and like mindset when I think like so many people have to have everything right to like feel dialed in.
Yeah.
And for you, it's like everything's going wrong. But how do you like everything's going wrong? People are doubting you. There's just being obstacles thrown in front of you that are like making it really hard, easy to lose focus.
Yeah.
And like somehow you just pull through.
Yeah, I don't know if it's I mean, I love what I do. I enjoy riding, so it's like, that's the first thing. It's not all about when I go there, it's not all about just winning or anything. It's like, yeah, I want to do well. I'd love to get another gold medal or medals, anything, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. It's weird because it's like you don't really think of yourself that way. I mean, I've been told by like people in the past, like Tyler and stuff, like, man, you always know how to, when it's game time, you're a gamer, when to like, because even when we go, sometimes like I ease in pretty mellow. Some guys go out and start throwing the biggest whips like immediately, where I'm like, I always kind of take my time, even though I know I have more. And I don't know. I try to build up and like feel comfortable and be at like a good point when the contest comes. So, but yeah, I don't know. I've had just so many different, from like that X Games to the one, like I rode one of them with a thumb throttle because I broke my wrist so bad. And I really destroyed my wrist another year. That was in 2017.
Like a quad, like a
yeah,
like
I had a quad throttle. It
press it.
actually was a quad throttle brand that was on there.
That's so sketchy.
And but it was like I broke my wrist, and when I started to ride, I couldn't twist the throttle enough yet, so I couldn't hit the ramp like safely. So I started riding with a thumb throttle. Just it was because basically I had 2 weeks left, and it was X Games, and it was like at this point, so that would have been like my 4th X Games probably at that point. I worked. It took me so long to get into X Games and start to establish myself there that like I didn't want to miss it no matter what. And at that point, after the thumb throttle, after the wrist, that was another one that I wasn't sure, because I was off the bike for 11 months, and I was like, this might be it. So like that one, I was thinking like this could be my last X Games potentially. So I was like, I'm gonna ride it. I don't care if I got to do it on a thumb throttle. That's fine. And so I rode that one with the thumb throttle, and it was, I could only whip one direction, my like opposite seat balance, because that was the only way I could give it enough gas, like with the thumb throttle, because it's all weird. It's so hard. I don't know how the dudes ride with it, honestly, because like I couldn't stand up and hit the ramp because I couldn't give it full gas.
Mm-hmm.
Like on the moto track, it was okay. Actually,
Really?
it wasn't bad on the moto track. It's weird. It's crazy that
you just get used to it.
The funniest thing about it is that when you're turning, this way, when you're turning this way, you're so used to having your elbow up, right? You're like elbows up.
But
But when you turn this way and you can have perfect form, but with the thumb throttle, it feels so weird not moving your elbow and dropping your elbow. It's like the most awkward feeling. You're actually off balance, even though you think it'd be better. But, so yeah, then then that happened, did that. And then that was like another year of like coming back basically. And then, yeah. And then you get, and then it was actually going pretty decent for like a while there. And then fast forward, we obviously this year, we were, we were taking the course down. I had to get that down because I was going to start getting like fined.
Like a week, maybe 10 days before X Games. This is crazy.
Yeah. So it was like, it had to be done, had to finish that and then the other thing was like, I had been riding the Stark for a bit. So I originally was thinking I was just going to do X Games on the Stark, and then the e-bikes got banned. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll just go back to my old gas. And so I was doing that. So I wasn't riding it too much. I hadn't really started practicing yet because the course takedown. And then when I did, I was like, I couldn't whip it. And it felt so terrible. And I'm like, what is wrong with this bike? And I think what it ended up is my fuel pump was like clogged ish or had some issue. Like
when you were like pinning it in the air.
Yeah. So it feels okay. It gets dirty, I guess, and clogged. And so it's fine until it's pinned wide open.
And you need that power to pull you back.
Exactly. So when you didn't have that, it was like you'd whip, but it wouldn't come back.
Sketchy.
And I was like, this is so weird. And I'm like, oh, I have like 10 days. And I didn't have time to order parts or anything.
No.
So it just happened that I rode my buddy Caleb. He was staying at my house and we were riding together.
Caleb that's here now?
Yeah.
Oh, sick.
So I was like, hey, let me try yours. He rides a Yamaha. And I was like, dude, what? I immediately threw like bigger whips, the first two on the Yamaha. And I'm like, dude, what's wrong? Like, what's wrong with my bike? And so because we just did the course takedown, Jared McNeil was here and we rode. So that was the other one thing, just a little tidbit about the course takedown. We did a whole thing. So we got to ride it one more time. So that was cool. But, and so he had a bike here and I was like, hey, Jared, what do you think about me riding your Yamaha? And so he was like, sure. He's like, you going to buy it? And I was like, yeah, I'll buy it after X Games if you let me ride it. He's like, okay. And
that's cool.
Yeah. And so I literally was like, it was crazy because I rode it first day. The suspension was way too soft because, he's like a little guy. He's like 140 pounds wet probably. And so I'm like, crap. Okay. Next day we get springs, try it. Oh, it's a little better, but now I need the shock revalved. And it was like Wednesday. I'm trying to leave Friday. On Wednesday morning at 9 a.m., I'm at Power Band in Tavares, and my buddy Tyler is like revalving my shock. At 9 a.m., I'm driving back up to my house 2 hours, pumping up the bag, jumping it, trying it. If I need to go back down, I have to drive back down and get more changed to get the suspension right. And then Thursday, it's all dialed. I haven't jumped the next gen yet, which we use at X Games. Friday, we put the next gen up, and we're fighting rain the whole week too. So it's just like battle
one
after
thing
battle.
after another.
And then I get on the next gen on Friday, jump it for maybe half an hour. Then the rainstorm comes in and we got to pack everything up. And then Saturday, I didn't get to leave Friday. I had to leave Saturday morning, and then drive from Florida to Salt Lake. And then
like straight to Salt Lake.
Yeah. It was just like the most insane week leading up to that. But then luckily, like I knew we would have decent practice, cause they've been really good about giving us like multiple days of practice before the contest. So like once we got there and we had the funny thing, we stopped in Caneville too and rode for a day just to like relax after the drive. So after all of that, like that kind of reset things, just getting to ride Caneville a bit. And then you show up there and then I was actually like super relaxed. Like the week before was insane. And I was like,
and just getting comfortable on the bike.
Yeah. And I switched. I never rode a Yamaha before, since I don't know when, 2-strokes basically. And so switching to that, I had no idea. So I had a week to get used to that. And then the couple days of practice, and then we're right into the contest. So
that's insane.
It was just, but yeah, I just knew it was going to be, that's how it was. And I was like, okay, if I just each practice, I try to get a little better. And then hopefully when we get to the actual contest, I'll be feeling pretty okay.
It's insane that every step of your riding career, you've been met with different forms of
It's
adversity and challenges, but like somehow you figure a way to pull through. But like, what do you think these challenges have taught you?
uh well, life is not easy sometimes. That was just one of those things. It's like, I think the biggest thing is you only can you only get through challenges like that if it's something you really want to do. So it's like, if you're being met with like injuries and adversity and different things like that, even if you're an amateur kid racing or pro or anything, um you're having trouble being motivated to like get back on the bike or do anything, or like it maybe it's not like really what you love. You know what I mean? I think that's the biggest thing, is that when you have like a real passion for it and it's something you really love to do, it makes those hard times a lot easier. Or yeah, and you deal with it and you're like, okay, I know this will pass, hopefully, and then we'll keep going. And so that was, my biggest thing was just never like setting an expiration date, kind of like I had no clue how long I would do it. I mean, I remember when I did Moto the movie, we filmed that in 2019, and that was the year after I was riding with the thumb throttle. That was the next year. So at that point, I didn't really know. I was coming back, I was on a twist throttle again and stuff, filming that. And, I even said in the part in the movie that like, I don't know if there's any more medals in my future. Like that may have been it, but there isn't anything I love to do more. So I'm just going to keep trying and keep riding. And so, thinking back to that was my mindset, was just to keep going. And then since that has been like my most successful period. Like I've had like, I think 2 or 3 silvers and 2 golds and a bronze since I said I didn't know if there were any medals left. So it's just like, just loving what you do and just having like I kind of go with the flow a bit too. I'm just like, you have to take what you're given and like do the best you can with it. And sometimes it's not going to be great. I've been at X Games, even 2 years ago. I got a silver the year before, and then I tore my Achilles. And when I went, like, I didn't really like my bike. I was still healing. Like the Achilles wasn't 100%. And, I got probably 6th place or something. Like I had no chance of like actually competing for a medal that year. And it just, it is just is what it is, So sometimes you just have to take that and, stay healthy and then keep going. And then a year on, I'm back at silver, get a silver and almost win.
You just keep that passion and like give it your best effort, but go with the flow, whatever happens, happens. And it's like you said, this last period has been one of your most successful times throughout your career.
Yeah.
And I think like it's obvious that you're one of the top riders in your field and what you do. And like you have a lot of respect amongst your peers now. But like you stay so like humble, which is really cool. I think that's something about your personality, is like you're like a super nice, normal, humble dude. Why do you think you stay like, how do you stay grounded like that?
I just, I don't know. Maybe I'm just,
You don't turn into like a cool guy or like,
yeah, I don't know. It could be a little bit of the East Coast, and I don't know. You just, I ride a dirt bike. Like I'm lucky enough that I've been able to like go from racing to like a career that I really enjoy, actually even more than I did racing, and be able to maintain it. I would have never, even probably 5 years ago or after the wrist injury, I would have never, if you would have told me, hey, are you going to be competing in X Games in 2026? If you would have asked me that like 5 years ago, I'd be like, I don't know. And so it's just, I don't know. I ride a dirt bike. I just got lucky. Like for some reason, I found a niche that I am good at. And, but like, I don't
Is it
know. I'm
like an
still a normal
intentional
person.
thing? Are you intentionally like um making it a point to like be kind to people and stuff, or is it just kind of it's just your personality?
I think it's just the way it is. It's like, I mean, I guess too, a little bit like, I mean, I'm like, a lot of people have like talents, right? There's like so many people that have so many different talents. Like we're all really not that much different. We're just, some of us are lucky that we find what our talent is, right? And we get, and then any notoriety or things you get from that generally is because you actually found what you're probably meant to do or whatever. And so I don't know. For me, it's just, I'm just a normal guy. I like to travel and take photos and ride my dirt bike, but I just don't, I don't know. I just got lucky to be good at what I do and able to compete in things like X Games and stuff. But, at the end of the day, it's like, there'll be a time when you can't compete at that level. And then, nobody, 10 years will go by and nobody will remember that you threw a big whip in 2000 and whatever. It's so, at the end of the day, it's like, you just have to love what you do and, strive to be your best at while you can. And yeah, I don't know. I just don't see it being much different than anybody else,
We've been like doing this for so long, and you've had a good stretch now of like success and gold medals and like checking all those boxes. What's what is it that's like still driving you today to keep going?
It's funny because, yeah, I actually don't even find myself, I don't think I'm like a super competitive person to begin with anyways, but I think I just enjoy it. That's all it is. It's like, I just like riding. I just have so much fun, going to Caneville and like the dunes and all these places. And, yeah, it's a funny thing. I don't know if it's like there's a drive in me or there's something that I don't know. I'm not really sure. I think it's just a passion. I love to do it. And I know that there is an end eventually. So it's like, I want to do it at the highest level I can for long as possible. Right. And, and then on top of that, obviously, like it is, it's sweet when you get to just be at X Games and events like that, where you're just treated really well and you're treated like like an athlete, it's a cool experience. And, obviously when you win a medal, especially a gold, it's pretty sweet.
Yeah, totally. Outside of competition, just like obviously there's like a pure love of riding. Like what excites you most about riding a dirt bike?
I mean, I don't know. It's just something about, I mean, right. Anybody that does it knows that there's something different about it. There's something you can get from riding that's like not everything can give you, I guess. You don't necessarily like, and I've played other sports. Like I like hockey and baseball, soccer, stuff like that. But, and I played them all, like quite a few of them when I was a kid, but there's just like something about that you just don't quite get the same experience. And I mean, it's just crazy too. Like, I mean, I take my dirt bike to the craziest places, and then some of them it like probably could be a national park. It looks so insane, right? And just the fact that you're on this bike and you can basically go anywhere you want, and then you just like see this mountain and you're like, I'm just gonna jump that.
Yeah,
It's like,
dude,
it's just such a rare, odd thing.
you're making like the world into like your playground.
Yeah.
Like suddenly the with your imagination and your ability, like this natural environment becomes like a skate park.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
And maybe it has, subconsciously it has something to do with when you were a kid, you like to play in the dirt and do stuff and
Jump off of dirt hills and like
yeah. And it can somehow has continued that into being an adult.
yeah, the big boy version
Yeah.
of it.
So
Like speaking of like riding zones and natural terrain, is there like one zone out of all the amazing, wild, exotic places you've ridden that kind of encapsulates everything you love about riding?
Whew. I mean, for me, it's hard to beat Caneville.
It's like the staple.
It's there are a few other places like similar, like, but I mean, there's just if pretty much anything you want to ride there, it's there. Like if you want to do big jumps, I mean, you can do the smallest jumps to the gnarliest jumps you've ever
As
seen.
big as you can imagine, you can find it.
Literally, yeah. And you can literally be a beginner and you'll find like a little tabletop on the top of a hill that like is still sick.
Right.
And
I went there in 2003. I was on like a YZ85. Dude, I should have told Twitch this story when I talked to him. But it was like 2003. I was on a YZ85. I was like a beginner. And me and my friends went out there to camp for like a long weekend during summer break. And we were out there just doing like little jumps all day. And we were having so much fun.
Yeah.
But we saw like Twitch out and like they were out filming something. And like we were watching him like hit this like hip and like whip it upside down.
Yeah.
And it was so sick to see that. I forgot about that story. I wish I could have told him that. But yeah, just even being out there and just like riding around and like hitting little jumps is so fun.
Yeah.
And then you guys like doing these like death drops or like massive doubles over the ravines and like the crazy stuff you guys are doing. Like there's all these levels to what you can do out there, but it's all so fun.
Yeah.
Even just trail riding on like the ridge lines.
That's what I was going to say is like you have the ridges, you have the washes, and then you have all the jumps. And I mean, sometimes I have fun, like literally just climbing hills. Like sometimes me and some of the other boys, like Utah guys, especially,
climbing those gnarly hills are scary.
We'll sit there and try to climb a hill for like an hour.
Yeah.
And we'll be like, and it'll be the best time. And it's like a lot of people think you go out there and it has to be like the biggest jumps and that's all you do. But
dude, some of those ridge lines are like just as scary as the jumps.
Yeah.
Like they're pretty intense, dude.
There's a couple. Yeah. When you get far back, if you ever go there with Steve Hogglestein, be prepared because he is going to take you on some lines that are in the back that literally are almost untouched, and you're putting like fresh tracks into the top of the ridge.
All right, remind me to never go there with him.
Yeah, dude, be careful if you do.
Okay, well, after everything you've been through, all the adversity from being a kid, first getting on a bike until now, what's the difference in like your mindset from then to now? Like how do you think you've changed as a person through everything that you've been through?
True, that's a tough question. I don't know. I feel like I've always kind of been the same. I don't know if it's like made like significant changes or like I always feel like I've always kind of had like a sort of respect for like life and trying to take advantage of like what you have and stuff, which has continued. And like obviously those things that have happened and losing people and different things have only
just amplifies it, man.
Exactly. Yeah. So
especially when you see like your parents get taken early,
it
makes you just feel like time is so precious, right?
Yeah. And it it runs out quick. And so, it's just, I don't know. I just try my best to treat people the way I'd like to be treated. And, if I can help people, different people, whether they're coming up like I was, and just stuff like that, I try my best to do. And, I don't know, man. I just try to do the best with what I've been given, I just think everybody, some people have less, some people have more. But at the end of the day, like everybody's human, right? And like everybody goes through almost the same thing. Like, losing friends, family, parents, like some of the hardest things you'll ever go through. Like all of us have to go through basically.
Yeah, yeah.
And so,
Life is really like a series of challenges
yeah.
for all of us. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. And it's, even people you think have it easier, when you really dive deep into it and hear their story, a lot of times there's going to be stuff in there that you're like, whoa, that's pretty heavy
Hard, yeah.
and stuff. So it's, yeah, I mean, I just try to live that way, like just knowing, we all got the same stuff going on, and, it's, you get one shot at it, as far as we know, and at least at this life. So, whatever you can do with it, you gotta try. There you can't rest or lay down or give up. You have to just keep plugging along. And if if there's something you really love and you want to do, like you'll find some way to do it.
It's like our buddy Tyler Revell, the photographer who we both know. His dad passed away a few years ago, but his dad would always say, "Life's not a dress rehearsal." Such a good saying. Like it's happening now. This isn't practice. It's like it's the main event.
Yeah,
like make the most of it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's I mean, there's gonna be days you're not gonna want to, which is it's totally fine. There's been plenty of days where I've probably sat around.
But those are good days too, because that's like, those can be good days too.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be extreme. Like you could just sit on your porch and like enjoy the view for the day.
Yeah.
And like, that's a good day. You're making the most of it.
Exactly. Yeah. You just gotta take what's given, and, I mean, you got to do stuff for yourself too, really. Like, what just, I mean, yeah, that's it. Take advantage of everything you got.
If you could give the younger version of yourself one piece of advice, what would it be?
Oof, the younger version of myself. Let me think. It's kind of a funny thing because I'd probably be less of an idiot and get injured like you did, but on some stuff. But it's kind of a double-edged sword because I'm like, well,
learned a lot through those injuries.
Yeah, some of the bad injuries that I had and like the Epstein-Barr and things sort of pointed me towards the direction. So it's like,
it all happens for a reason.
It's like, yeah, I have some issues now that I feel like my elbow, I had to get it fixed again last year from that injury way back then. But
in a weird way, you wouldn't change it.
It's strange, right? Because it's like, as crappy as it was, it led me into the direction I am now. So you're like, oh, I wouldn't want to really affect that much. But I mean, it's a tough one. It's like, I'm sure there's something, but I almost want to say that like I maybe wouldn't advise myself too much, to be honest.
You have to learn the lesson as you go.
Yeah, I mean, maybe invest in Bitcoin. Maybe that would be.
That's a great.
If I was going to go for one thing, I'd go back to like 2010 and say, hey,
just buy as much as you can afford.
Just buy like $1,000 of this.
Yeah,
and you'll be riding for it. You have no problem.
Don't have to worry about sponsors.
Yeah. You don't need sponsors. You don't need to do shows. Nothing. You can go buy a house in Caneville and
love it, dude. Well, thanks for having me out. I'm stoked we finally got to meet up after 8 months or so of trying to make it happen. It's been cool to finally make it happen and hear your story and learn some like really incredible stories behind some of your victories that I had no idea. So that was really cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing, man.
Yeah. No, thanks,
Cheers.
man. Yeah.
Spring is here, which means more time on the bike, and honestly, one of my favorite times to ride. I've been getting back out on the motocross track a lot lately, and I forgot how much I love that intensity and chaos that comes from riding moto. And that's been the perfect theme with Fox Racing's MX26 collection, built around that exact feeling, with new designs, fresh colors, and gear that actually matches the energy of being out there when things get a little unpredictable. I really like the look of a lot of these designs because they're clean and classic, but with a modern flair. Like the new Flex Air tactile kit or the new 360 Tine kit they've got in this really cool cranberry color, plus some unique refreshed looks for the 180 Noble and the Image print designs. And that's just a few of the new graphics and colors in the new collection. So if you're getting back out there this spring like I have been, it's definitely worth checking out the latest gear from my friends at Fox. Head over to foxracing.com to see the full collection.